Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Amaazen Outdoors. This podcast is being presented by Uplnd Outfitters, home of the relentless pants, man. Those things are awesome. I had them out this week, and I pretty much, since I started the partnership with Jason, have been wearing those pants out anytime over the summer here where I had to do any work at the farm or dog training. I've even had them on the boat a little bit. They are tough as nails. I have yet to see a pull 'em thread. I've been in some nasty briars. They really held up a lot better than I thought. I can't recommend them enough. Hunting season is around the corner. Make sure you use discount code Amaazen, and I believe Jason is still offering 20% off on the relentless pants. So pick up a pair before hunting season is upon us, and you're out in the woods with a pair of ripped up pair of pants and sweating, unnecessarily, because Jason's pants and the relentless pants are top notch and breathable, light. So you're going to want them this early season. Make sure you get them now. I also have a quick announcement. We've got another kind of temporary partnership with Chippewa River Custom Rods. Tom is going to be offering 10% off with discount code Amaazen 10, Amaazen 10, and it's all caps. If you decide to call him for a custom rod, just make sure you tell him that you heard about custom rods on Amaazen Outdoors podcast, and he will make sure that you get hooked up with a discount. All that information for both sponsors and partners are going to be in the show notes, so please support the podcast and these great companies. They are really good partners for the podcast, and I would like to see our listeners support them as well. So look them up, Uplnd Outfitters and Chippewa River Custom Rods. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everybody. This is Brian with Amaazen Outdoors. This is episode 26, I think. Season 2 kicked off with episode 25. So if you're looking to hear the newest content, check out the S2 content with a number behind it. Everything below 25 is episode or season 1. Season 2, 25 and up. We'll roll over a season 3 next year when we kick off bird hunting again. Today's episode, I sit down with Drew Rodman at Cuttin' Coveys on Instagram. Drew's a young man who grew up around short hairs and some bird hunting, but never really fully embraced it. He got a short hair a couple years ago, and just this spring picked up another one up here in Minnesota. And that's kind of how we got hooked up. We've been chasing each other's tails, trying to get time to sit down and record a podcast. And he was gracious enough to invite me out to Nebraska this season opener in the Sandhills for Prairie Grouse. Unfortunately, black bear baiting came at a priority, and I was not able to attend this year. Thanks a lot, Drew. I appreciate the invite, and we will definitely hook up at some point this fall Maybe in Kansas. Maybe I can convince you to come up here and chase the king of the forest, Mr. Ruff. Enjoy today's show. So welcome to the podcast, Drew. We've been kind of chasing each other around here for, well, I think, when did you get your pup up here?
I got that pup the weekend before July 4th. So,
That's right, yeah.
Into June.
Yeah, so we were trying to hook up since then. And you graciously invited me out to the Sandhills for opener, and unfortunately, just too many things on my plate. I had to kind of kill a lot of my September bird hunting that I had dreamt up this year, unfortunately. So, but anyways, Drew Rodman, Instagram handle Cuttin' Coveys. We kind of got hooked up through Instagram. You got a pup up here in Minnesota and have kind of stayed in touch, and hopefully going to get out in the field this fall. So, can you give listeners a little idea who you are?
Yeah, I'm Drew Rodman. I'm currently living in the Kansas City area. I have two German short-hair pointers, Abby and Zeno. And yeah, I'm new to this upland game, but we're trying to figure it out and go as hard as we can.
Yeah, man. I really, when we talked the first time and you were on your way up to get this puppy, I really liked your energy. It was I kind of resonated a lot with it. Kind of trying to really mold into a dog-centric kind of life. And I am a fishing guide as well. So it's a difficult task for me, and everybody has to kind of manage a personal life and a dog life as well. So I really kind of commended you and liked a lot of your energy and wanted to get you on the podcast and see if we can't share a field together.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely excited. I'm trying to get out as much as I possibly can, and I'm just trying to meet as many people and kind of just learn from as many people as I can as well.
It's the best way, man. You can read books and watch YouTube all you want, but if you really want to find something out, you got to get your hands dirty and you got to find somebody that's willing to share some knowledge.
Right. And I kind of just take it in as like, I'm the youngster doing this. Like, I'm new. Like, think of the guys that have been doing this for 25, 50 years. Imagine the knowledge they have and what they can kind of pass on, and the glory days of bird hunting, and they've kind of seen the cycles of it all. And that's kind of who I'm kind of trying to go after and learn from, because those are the guys I feel like with the knowledge that I'm looking for.
Yeah, there's some good ones and some bad ones, man. I'll tell you, you hang around a little bit with my uncle, just about anything, love him to death. But it's all about how things used to be so good, and now there's just so many people. And to a certain degree, that song is true. But on the same token, there's so much space out there, and there's so much land, and so many places that have had few boot prints on them that the game changes a little bit. And if you're not willing to change with the times, and kind of take what you have from a knowledge base and then apply it to your circumstances today, I think somebody said that was called wisdom. So again, I commend you, and you got to find the right people who still can put it together and haven't, I find with people in general too, they want to stay in one place. And I mean that as kind of this general term. The world constantly changes around us, and we put ourselves in these boxes, and often we can't change with the times and excel as individuals in many different ways. And I even with the hunting and fishing community, like I said, you'll still find the old curmudgeons, but there's a lot of good guys out there. So how'd you get into upland hunting?
Well, actually,
what drew it to you? I mean, what was the reason that you decided to go all in?
Well, I don't know. It was kind of crazy. Like I've always kind of grown up with short hairs. Like growing up, my dad, we've always had 2, 3 in the house at all times, but we never hunted the dogs. We just had them as family pets. And I don't know, I think we maybe gone on 2 quail hunts as kids or something at our family farm, but we never really did anything. And so after I got done with school, I got a short hair, just have a family dog companion. And then I started working on the road, and I was up in Montana, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these birds fly around me. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? Like, I didn't really know much about it. And I actually ran into a couple hunters up there. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're chasing huns. I'm like, a hun? And I'm like, I've seen a million of those the last 3 weeks, you know? Like, I'm just riding a John Deere backhoe through the middle of the countryside of Montana. I saw them all the time. And then I realized, well, I have one of those dogs. Why am I not doing something about it? Because I already like doing everything with my dog. And then I kind of slowly got into it there in Montana. I mean, I went crazy, got into the Instagram stuff and kind of looked at it like that, but I didn't really do much hunting up there. And then
when are we
I
going
kind of moved
back? I was supposed to go this September, and
Montana.
Yeah.
I dream of going to Montana every single day of my life. Literally, if you ask anyone that I associate with, they say I talk about my dogs in Montana every single day.
I went through a period where it was Kansas for me, but I still love Kansas, and that's kind of like my second bird mecca right now. But Montana being really one state, Minnesota, North Dakota, and then Montana, it's like,
Yeah.
you were telling me earlier, it's 8 hours. Like,
you know, anywhere I'll drive anywhere within 8 hours because there's a lot of different stuff to see in 8 hours.
absolutely.
But like,
and a lot of guys don't do that though. And it's not, an inexpensive endeavor to do that either. You know, typically you're buying another state license and things like that. But for guys like myself, and it sounds like you, to chase birds that are in numbers that are not present currently within close enough proximity to us, I'm
Right.
willing to drive that far, you know, because it's about the dogs, man. And to be able to put myself in a scenario where I can get that kind of dog work, it makes me happy.
the dog work and also just seeing how like your dog does with that cover or what you're putting it up against. Like going to the Nebraska Sandhills this weekend, I would have never expected a dog to run as much as they did. And the dogs we were with ran like crazy. They put on miles. Like, and then going to up in the grouse woods, seeing how they would adapt to that, like that would just, I don't know. I haven't done it, but it's something I'm looking forward to. And it's, you know, if it's an opportunity, we're going to try to make that happen because why not?
Yeah,
Get the dogs on birds and as many species and just see what they do.
If you come in early October, I don't know that we can knock 3 off, but if you come in mid-October, we might be able to put pheasant on that too, but you probably already got that knocked off with your dog.
I've got pheasants covered, I think. I got pheasants covered.
Yeah, you're not too far from what I would consider some of the best pheasant habitat in bird numbers in the country right now. So
yeah, well, I know that our numbers should be up this year.
You guys got good rains this year.
The quail numbers actually is what is supposed to be up really well in like the north central part of the state. They had really good rains and it's supposed to be really good up around there this year. So
yeah, we might have to cross paths down there. But
yeah.
So you were out in Montana. Let's get back to your story a little bit. You're out in Montana and you got the short hair and you never ran it on dog. How old was the dog when you took it out to Montana?
The dog was probably 2 then.
Okay.
So like I did do like basic obedience and I knew what people could do. Short hairs, and I had the e-collar and had recall, and I was trying to whoa her kind of half-ass, you know. I wasn't super serious about it, but I thought it was cool, so I did it.
But, you know, back to that kind of lighting that fire underneath your ass. I mean, you were working out there, you kind of saw these hunters, and then you were seeing all these birds in the countryside, and you just decided to give it a go.
Yeah.
How much hunting in Montana did you actually do? And then when did you kind of move back to the KC area?
So actually I was in Montana. I probably only hunted it 4 days. I did probably 4 walks the whole time I was there. And nothing really serious. Never shot anything. I shot a hun, one single hun. I saw them all the time, but I could never find them whenever I was actually hunting. But
They're
so I
a
did
different
that.
creature. I've never really specifically targeted them. I've shot one myself out in North Dakota one time when we were pheasant hunting. We ran across a covey and kind of did the same thing with sharptails as well. So that was always my big draw. Is like I wanted to go out and chase sharpies and huns.
And huns, yeah. But a lot of what I hear is if you find sharpies, you can find, or if you find huns, you'll find sharpies.
Yep, that's what I heard.
So, yeah. But so, anyways, I went from Montana, and then so I worked for a traveling fiber optic company. We put in mainline fiber optic in rural America. So, like, we were in Montana, we were in Nebraska, we did work in Oklahoma, Western Kansas. Like, we kind of bounced everywhere for a couple months at a time. And so, actually, I was in Nebraska too and found some good quail spots up there too. So, I'm excited for that later in the season. But
yeah, I keep hearing Nebraska's an up and comer.
Yeah, Nebraska, I like it so far.
So what was your first real like season? Hey, we're going to get, was it last year or the year before?
Last year. And last year, I probably went out 7 times, 7 different weekends or so. I went on duck hunts. I did, but nothing really hard. Like, I trained my dog. At the time, I only had the one. My one now is, he's only 5 months old now. So I just had the one, and I hunted probably 7 times. And then, yeah, I mean, it wasn't really until like the off season after that season, I was like, wow, people can make a living doing this. Like, people can hunt dogs, train dogs, and make a living. I don't really like working my job every single day. So
now you're starting to talk like me.
Yeah. Like, if you can make a solid living at it and the amount of time you have to put in, I mean, I go and put 50, 60 hours of work in at my regular job. Why can't I do that for the dogs? But it's something I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
So
I found
it kind of fire under my, I was just like,
you work more once you have a passion behind yourself, and it's you don't look at it so much as work.
Right.
And it's dangerous to a certain perspective.
Yeah, no, I believe it because it has bitten me and I've got it. And this is the only thing that I'm trying to make happen.
I hear you. I've taken a, kind of a couple silos here with the podcast and the guide business and the dogs, and kind of put some blocks together that I've got a 3 and a 5 year plan, and we're headed down the right path right now. So I'm with you. I'm trying to make a go of it, and got to start making some money here somehow, some way. The guide business is staying afloat, but it's not paying the rent. So
yeah, so I've got to keep my day job. I know I've got to keep my day job.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, there's not that many people, there isn't that many people looking for grouse guides up north. There just isn't. And when you don't have lodging, it's a tough deal. So if anybody is still looking to get out and do some grouse hunting this fall, hit me up. I got some open dates. But so what are you kind of looking at what's the niche you want to chase after currently? You're gonna breed dogs and train them, and you're gonna try to guide?
Well, I kind of want to, I don't know. Mainly, I do want to train dogs. I want to be around other people's dogs, see what else is out there, just be around as many dogs as I can and train and see what actually is what the German Shorthair breed has to offer, I fell in love with this breed, and so I want to stick with them and see what they have to offer, and then one day start my own breeding and try to produce something that I can truly be proud of with a good dog, what I believe is a good dog. But then again, I want to get into the guiding as well, because who doesn't want to go and make money taking somebody hunting and just getting to go have that experience and meet the new people and make those connections with people.
I can't agree more. I mean, I love sharing that experience with people out in the field or the boat or the woods. There's something special about it, and meeting new people in that experience. I don't know. I always seem to have a really, really good time, and it can be regardless of kind of who the other person is, because I'm in kind of my zone and passion, and I'm working the dogs and trying to get the other person the quarry, whatever it is.
Right.
And that chase and that hunting for somebody else, to a certain degree, like I can leave the gun in the truck now.
Right.
Back when I was a young man, I never could do that. But
Yeah.
just watching the dogs and having somebody else be behind the gun is a lot of fun for me. You know, it gives me the opportunity to carry a camera around, which hasn't been a prime objective of mine for a number of years.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to get into more, is for the photography, and I actually want to do some of the videography stuff and do some of that kind of media footage. And I don't know, it's going to be a crazy path. I don't know where.
I got a bunch of video footage if you want to go through it for me.
Yeah, that's not the fun part. That's not the fun.
No, I mean, I've been kind of documenting to a certain degree kind of my bear hunt that's coming up, and hoping to have a success. And I've been kind of set up for a couple years to self-film for hunting whitetails and stuff, and never really did it until last year after the gun season. And then later in the year, my wife actually graciously bought me a nice camera, and then it was like, oh shit, there's only a week left of archery late season bow hunting up here in, 0-degree weather. And like, I went out a little bit, but so I'm really looking forward to this fall and kind of myself doing some of that videography. But man, oh man, I hate editing.
Right. Yeah. And I haven't done a lot of it, like I said, I'm pretty new to this all, but I'm trying to take on as many tasks and succeed in as many as I can.
All you can do is try, man, and not be afraid to fail, because
right. And
when you fail, you learn something.
Right. That's the part you made a good point earlier. Have that 3 and 5 year plan, because I can't have everything right now. I'm a very impatient person, and I jump a lot. So I'm
same
trying
thing,
to
man.
stay calm, and take my time and think this out.
I have a little ADD, and I like to put a lot on my plate. And when I get too much on my plate, I can't physically get it done, and all of it suffers. Excuse me, man. My allergies have been killing me this last week, and I've got kind of a frog in my throat at the moment. So, excuse me. So, new to bird hunting, had short hairs for a long time, and you actually were graciously and kind enough to invite me down to hunt in Nebraska in the Sandhills for the opener, which I was very, very, very tempted to go. If I didn't have bears that were eating 7-8 gallons of bait every day, and a limit of only putting 10 gallons out, I would say, yeah, but I, couldn't get the neighbor kid to bait for me. So I had to kind of cull in that bird hunting run I was planning on doing, and we'll see if I might be able to sneak out at the end of September after killing a bear mid-month here. But how was the Sandhills? Did you knock a few birds off your list?
I did knock a bird off. I got sharptail. We never ran into chickens. Never saw any of them. Never talked to anybody that saw any chickens. But we did get into some sharptails. I would say the bird numbers weren't amazing, but we did get into them. We put on a lot of miles, but we did get into some sharptails.
So I've driven through the Sandhills on my way to Colorado. It was sunrise. I would say half of what I drove through, it was not light enough to see. And then the rest of it was absolutely gorgeous. And on GPS, it looks like very, very rolling hills, short grass.
Yeah.
What kind of other wildlife did you guys see out there? At least, I mean, if you didn't run across too many birds, like what's
the place we were at was actually packed with antelope bow hunters.
Sure.
There's bow hunters out there chasing antelope, but the whole time we were bird hunting, we only saw one, so they must not have had it very good luck. But yeah, no, that terrain, like you say, looking at it off the highways and those rolling hills, I realize those rolling hills are not no joke. Those things, they might not look that bad, but those things have 200-300 foot drops in between, and it's intense on your legs.
Oh yeah, I mean, used to walk in, flat field edges out in Kansas, man.
Yeah, out in Kansas, you walk the corners of the fields and you do that. And you get into some hills, but it ain't too bad. But yeah, getting up there, it's a different ball game. But the shorter grass, yeah, it is shorter grass, but it's still, mid shin to ankle high.
What kind of collar system do you run? Do you run anything that tracks how far your dog runs?
I do not.
Yeah.
I have the Garmin tracking or T&B, just the trainer collar.
Sure.
But the guys I was with, they have those on their dogs, and yeah, actually we were with some Brittany's that put on 26 miles and 28 miles in one morning walk.
Wow.
Yeah. One morning walk. I think it was like a 3.5 hour walk. I found out today, we did about 20 miles. It was like 20.5 miles in that walk. And then, yeah, the Brittany did like 28 or so. And then his dog did high 20s as well. So, I mean, we were putting on the miles, but, yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I've run my dogs in Kansas that many miles in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we found out, too, that really the mornings was where we were finding the birds. We didn't really ever get into any in the evening time or anything like that. We did do our longer walks in the mornings. We only did about an 1.5-hour walk just because of dog power and dogs being tired.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. What was the temperature while you were out there? I got to imagine it hit 70 degrees sometime about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
So the weather kind of held off. It was, we woke up in the mornings and it was 62 degrees, and then it was kind of cloudy and some overcast in the mornings. And so it kind of held off till about 10, 10:30, 11. Then it would be kind of around the 74, 75 range. And by then the dogs are just done anyways. So we stopped then. But later in the afternoon, it would get to about 81, 82.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's been. Same weather up here. And I try to get out and run the dogs as much as possible. Like, I think we did 12 miles the other morning. We had 2 sessions in a couple different spots that we covered. And I think it totaled up to, the one dog ran 12, the other one ran 10. But by 10 o'clock in the morning, it's 75 degrees and it's just, they try their hardest, but I don't want to put it through,
You don't want to, and especially like preseason, if you haven't started, like, it's not really worth risking, I would say.
Yeah, that was one of the other things that, kind of happened this summer for me. I mean, with having a guide for fishing on the rivers and stuff, kind of every day that I guided killed I couldn't train, couldn't run them. And then, I also couldn't do any office work for all these little ventures I got. So,
hey, that's not a bad thing. We can push the office work aside and go fish and run dogs.
Well, I did. The accountant got a lot more work than I expected this year. I finally got him convinced for my wife's business to take over payroll. So, another thing off my plate, but, no, my point was, it'd been so hot all summer long that my normal training regimen, we really didn't we had like 25 some days that were in the 90s. So it didn't matter. We couldn't even get it in couldn't really do much training in the evening. Like I could go out and run them around my 32 acres, but they're done. Like I couldn't go run, a quarter section CRP field with them.
Right.
I mean, it was still 85 degrees out at, 9:00 at night. So, we kind of had a year that my dogs weren't opener, weren't really in a condition that I wanted to run them out in the Sandhills.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I took a 5-month-old puppy out there, and he surprised me. He did very, very well. He started kind of figuring it out and ranging, and he had some really, really awesome backs this weekend. Actually, our last walk, my buddy's dog, Hunt to Live on Instagram, he went up over this hill and pointed this bird, and Zeno came in and backed him, and then we took a double out of that. So that was honestly the perfect way to close the weekend and
absolutely
finish it off. That was great, just seeing this little guy do that.
Yeah, my little one kind of came on pretty strong, and that's it's so awesome to see when you get those little moments as a puppy, and you just gotta excel, and you did the right thing. It's a good moment to end on the weekend.
Right.
You can't really give a 5-month-old puppy a better experience.
Right, and it's just exposure is what all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get
contacts, man.
Bird contacts, and just the experience of going on these long trips, making some bigger runs, seeing some different country. Like, it's just all good for them. So I was actually disappointed. My older dog, she couldn't make the trip. We found out she has a bone fracture 2 weeks before we left for the Sandhills.
Oh no. Yeah, you mentioned something a couple weeks ago when we had talked. That shit that had a lump on her paw.
Yeah, she had like a big scab on her paw. And that's what I thought it was. She was kind of limping around the house, and eventually we took her to the vet and got some antibiotics and stuff like that. But it turned out it went away, and we went and got x-rays, and yeah, she had right above her front elbow, she has a bone chip or something.
Yeah, I have another, my youngest dog ran this spring clear into it. Well, it's that to be the second time now. She did it last season in Kansas. The first time we went down in December too, but clear into a barbed wire fence. I mean, this dog, I thought my other dog was I was going to say effing machine, but yeah, I thought she was a machine when she ran clear into a wood pile at a 1.5 years old for a rabbit, and took a 1-inch stick to her groin up near, the business and that artery that's there. Oh man. Luckily she didn't hit any real blood carrying arteries or vessels, but man, oh man, they had this big gaping wound. I was a mile away from the road. I had to carry her out. And then this other dog comes along, and now she's 2 barbed wire fences, and she'd been limping a little bit. And we did an x-ray at one point, but I wouldn't mind doing another one if she keeps limping around. But she did 12, like I said, 12 miles the other morning, and we kind of drove around in the truck a little bit because spots around my place, they're not like the Northwoods where you just drive down the gravel road. You can go on both sides of the road. Yeah, I got to drive around to little sections and quarter sections and quarters of quarter sections and stuff like that. So, I got to reset every hunt, and then I kind of have a logbook and stuff that I write them down on tally sheet. And yeah, she did 12 miles, no, not limping around, but yeah, that's too bad, man. I hate leaving a dog behind.
Yeah, it drives me crazy because, like, if I take her out to run, because, like, I was running her when she was limping. I just thought it was her paw. I didn't know about the fracture. So I was still trying to get her ready, and she acts like nothing's wrong when she's in the field. She goes
Oh,
out, she
yeah.
birds, she acts like nothing's wrong. It's just she wants to go to work for me, you know?
That's what
She
I'm
wants
worried about my little one, man, is, even around the house, she's just such a tough little shit
Mm-hmm.
that, and then I had her at the farm this weekend, and they had both dogs, and I don't really run. It's kind of a new place for me, and I haven't kind of got all my stuff up there yet. So, and I don't have my dog box in the truck yet either. So
Mm-hmm.
they kind of just ride along in the back seat or up in the front, depending on where we're going. And right now during the summertime. So for ease of kind of locking them up, I put them in the truck, and then I ran out and dizzied a couple pigeons and threw them in the field. And the first time that it happened, I let the older dog out, and little one didn't really give two shits. She didn't really know what was going on. And every time after that, the whole entire weekend, that dog went absolutely apeshit in my truck.
Because you didn't let her go.
And I, try to sit her, and, I put her in the shed because, it's only 2 minutes out in the field. I'm not like I ran, all the way to the backside of the property, but just
Right.
got a pigeon sitting there, and the pigeon's not going to fly, and I don't have launchers. So I'm just working kind of on steadiness. I want the dog to see the bird. Actually, with my older dog, I'm trying to work on a couple things. And so want him to find it, and I'm working on a check cord and wowing it, and then trying to kind of, entice that dog to break with the pigeon on the ground, and,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of controlling it a little bit, making sure it understands, and then flushing the pigeon. And I'm working on kind of steadiness through the whole process. So,
Right.
so anyways, it's about a minute with the pigeon, maybe 2. So 5 minutes, the dog sits in the frickin' shed. And my one older dog, she knows the drill. She lays down on her dog bed inside. The older one, she is a classic case for why a guy needs to learn to kennel his dogs. And COVID killed it all. I mean, I had that dog perfectly kennel trained when I was going to the office every day, and then that all turned upside down 2 years ago. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's amazing to see the drive and the desire. And I mean, that's all that my dog wants to do is find birds.
Yeah. They just want to work for you. They want to, go do their thing. It's what they love to do.
It's what they're bred to do. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about hunting dogs. And nothing against your folks or anything, but you guys had hunting dogs around, and they didn't get to kind of fulfill their destiny. And I don't know. I got a little soft spot for those dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, looking back on it now, it's definitely something that I wonder why we did that and had that. When I was growing up and younger, my dad did do field trials and stuff, but I have 2 brothers, and we're all within 3 years. And so he just said kids happened.
Yeah, Dan, I hear that story a lot.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll be able to. Is your old man still around?
Yeah, he is.
Is he close to you? I mean, he's hanging out with you and the dogs. You're going to go hunt with him this fall?
No, we don't talk too much, but I'm still going to get out there, and he'll probably be around for a few of them, but I mainly will hunt with my brothers and just new people I can meet. He's a little older now, so he doesn't get out much.
Sure. It's too bad. But that's how life happens. My uncle's the same way. He comes up and he hunts hard, and he's kind of at the point where he can't get the outcome he wants, but he can't put anything more into it. So I think, his days are kind of numbered, and it's sad and kind of hard to see that, because I personally, even as much of a curmudgeon, and sometimes you curse them, but you love them, and you want to kind of still see them get out and have some success. And
Right.
but so where You mentioned you guys had a family farm. Where are you originally kind of from?
I'm from around the Wichita area,
Sure.
right outside of there, and then we have a family farm that's been in our family for about 100 years, out about an hour east of there.
Sure. Right on.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it because this year I'm really going to hit it. But every single year since I've been old enough to remember, there's geese and ducks by the thousands. So I'm going to be able to get some water work in with this little guy.
Yeah, that's something I don't really take advantage of too much anymore. Something had to give. I still deer hunt, and I've been applying for a bear tag for 5 years. So at some point, it's like I don't, and it gets pretty kind of cold up here, man. I grew up doing diver duck hunting out on the Bay of Green Bay, and I remember putting in the boat many, many times, breaking ice out by the islands that we used to hunt on, and it's just like, that time of year, it's a little nicer to be walking around somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I actually went to trade school up in Wisconsin, and to run heavy machinery. And
whereabouts?
It was Sun Prairie.
Okay. Yeah, just north of Madison.
Yep, just north of Madison there. And I was up there in September, October, and November, and I was ready to get out of there. It was cold by then.
So am I. About Thanksgiving, I'd rather be in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, shame on me. I should have saved a little bit of money left over because, man, some of those houses out in central Kansas and BF towns are $20,000.
Oh yeah, they're nothing. You can. There's actually places in Kansas that they're paying you to live there and kind of set up a homestead.
Oh well, I might have to talk to you about that.
I saw that the other day, and I was like, okay, so if I go live here for 3 years and set it up, I get this land for free, and then I can just set up a base camp for birds around all this public land.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that offline. When are you coming up to grouse hunt? No, well, seriously though, we so you guys had a good time out in the Sandhills. Would you go back?
I would go back. Actually, I'm going back in the middle of November.
Are you?
So, yeah.
I hear it gets even harder to hunt.
That's why I want to go.
You're kind of a masochist in the.
I like the pain of it. I like the pain of it.
You like the challenge.
I like the challenge. I like.
Dogs. You know what we should do? There's a guy that I had on the podcast, and he's a writer. Edgar is his name. He's been a friend. We kind of have been talking here, and ever since he kind of came on. So shout out to @HuntBirds on Instagram, or you can kind of check out some of his writing.
I've actually met him recently.
Did you?
He's a member of our big Pheasants Forever chapter down here. And
yeah, I think he's he's one of the board members.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Really good guy. But he wrote about the Cimarron National Grasslands.
Yep.
And I made an attempt last year on a trip, and because we had 2 days that were just super, super windy, and I drove almost all the way. And I don't know have you ever driven from, what the hell is
Dodge City, Garden City? I've been everywhere, man.
No, yeah, well, no, it's past that. But have you ever driven from I'm trying not to hotspot any places here. When you take 70 out west of Hayes, you get out there about, I don't know, maybe it's 100 miles. It doesn't take very long to actually get super flat and crappy.
Yeah.
But you go a little further than that. And then you start heading south, I think I crossed over the Colorado border at one point. And I was just like, it was super windy. We couldn't really hunt anyways. And my dogs were just dead. So it was just kind of I was just driving. And if something looked neat, I was going to maybe get out and run one spot. And I think we did at the end of the night because we found something. And I can't remember the name of the town, but I was probably 100 miles yet north of the grasslands there, kind of out by the Colorado border. And I just was so beat by the wind and the like 5-section size. I mean, it's just unbelievable how big those farms are out there, and they're just straight fields. And it's like literally 5 sections of corn.
Yeah.
And then you get a road and then another 5 sections of corn, and it just repeats for 100+ miles. And I was just so beat down from driving on that stuff. I got a hotel room and got up super early and drove back north to where I was hunting, and kind of worked my way back towards Nebraska. And actually, I think I crossed over in like the north of Concordia, but yeah, it was one of those failed attempts. But man, if you like the challenge, I would love to, if I'm down in Kansas for an extended trip this year, which I think I'm going to take a couple runs at. I would love to go down and try to shoot a scaled quail in Kansas with you.
That's actually, I am going to get out and do the nest, or I am going there. So, I don't know when, December probably time frame, but we are going to go and try it, the Cimarron.
Yep. I'm going to try to get down there sometime mid-December.
Yeah.
Try to do at least a week. So, yeah, if we can hook up for a couple days out there, but anyways,
the scaled quail though, I hear what last year was rough, but we're definitely going to have to try it again this year.
Yeah, did you guys have a pretty good winter?
Yeah, it really wasn't too bad. I mean, we had about 2 weeks where right after the season, February time frame, where it was just freezing cold. Highs of 7 degrees for 2 weeks straight,
Sure.
But that was the extent of it. It wasn't really too bad besides just those bad 2 weeks.
So what else you got going on this fall? You're going to go to the Cimarron?
So I set the goal at the beginning of the season to get out 60 days. And so I'm kind of going everywhere. I've done the Nebraska Sandhills. I've got Kansas prairie chickens in 2 weeks. I've got the teal opener for Kansas this weekend.
When's the prairie chicken opener in Kansas?
15th of September.
Damn it. That's the same day my frickin' bear tag opened.
Yep.
That's killing me this year, because all I have to do is drive down. I don't even have to buy a license. I still got my license from last year.
Well,
that's what I love about Kansas, man. That 365 day.
365, yep.
That's unbelievable. And it's cheap for an out-of-stater.
Cheap. Is it?
It's under $100.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, for small game, it's kind of, spendy for out-of-staters, but anywhere you go, really, you want to hunt ducks or, upland birds, right. You're looking at $60 to $100, maybe 120 in some states.
Right. Yeah, I think Nebraska was 130, but I think that included waterfowl, but it's not open yet. So, but yeah, no, I've got a lot of trips planned. I've got, hunting Kansas hard. I've got a big 10-day trip I'm doing in November through Nebraska again, and more central Kansas. And
that one is one that I really do want to try and hook up for a couple days.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And I might just do a turn and burn for part of that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I definitely think we can hook up. I think that'll be easy.
You got a place to stay out there?
I don't have a place to stay, but
I think I might have one lined up. So you might have to do a little investigating for me, but I think it's like $20 a person a night.
Cool. Is it camping or
no? It's a house.
House. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
That would okay. That would be okay.
I wandered into this small town, and here's a little tip for you. You know, being a new hunter, and for all the listeners, you know, I wandered into this little town, and it was midday. It was a warm day in January. I think it was 65 degrees out, and I had been down and hunting public in the Weehaw stuff for a couple days, and looking for some private land to hunt. Had some in a different county, but really wanted to kind of hunt here because I'd heard about some things and just didn't want to step on some other buddies' toes and things like that. So, I don't know. I just stopped in this small random town, and I had to get off the county road to get into this town. And sure as shit, there's a little general store, you know, post office, telecommunication company, a bar, and a church, and this little general store on the corner, you know, a dead little town, maybe 250 people, maybe, you know, not a lot of people. And the owner of the store and her husband and the owner of the store, the woman seemed like she owned the store, but they owned it together, I'm sure. Bless her heart. She was very friendly, and I had bought a couple things because I needed some water for the dogs, and they had some gallon jugs and things like that. I'd run out and had asked, you know, hey, is anybody in town, you know, do a trespass fee for hunters from out of state? And we get into talking. She gives me a couple names, and I don't know, we talked for maybe 30 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, I asked her, well, is there anyone around here that, you know, rents out houses? So she goes, well, by golly, I should have told you this right away. And she runs back into the little room, and she comes out with a business card, and they have a house that they rent out to hunters. And,
wow.
And they charge per head. But anyways, you know, the lesson of the story is, I found a place to stay that isn't $80 a night and overkill for me and my dogs for hunting trip, because I'm gone from sun up to sundown.
Right.
So I just really need a place that's clean enough to crash and take a shower.
Yeah.
Is nice. You know, I don't even need the shower really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I showered for 3 days in the Sandhills, and I was ready to get home to one.
Well, at that rate, I'm looking for a truck stop or something to shower. But
it was, I had a funk to me, I think.
Nah, you get up here in the fall and it's cool and stuff like that. You know, you can go a few days, but I during the summertime, man, no, not happening.
Yeah.
A few days, you'd be smelling me from more than your social distancing away. Oh, so, you wanted to come up here, huh? Have you ever chased rough grouse before?
No,
I'm not assuming you have.
Definitely not. I definitely have not.
You run across any woodcock down by you? Can you kind of in the KC area?
Oh, so actually at a meeting I was at, I guess a part of southeastern Kansas gets woodcock for about a week down in late November. But that's definitely nothing like what you guys probably have, and it's definitely something that I want to go where the birds are going to be. I didn't realize that Minnesota or Wisconsin and getting into good grouse numbers was only 7-8 hours away from where I'm at. So,
oh yeah, and like I told you, you know, I mean, I'm there's pockets in both Wisconsin and Minnesota's a little different. It has a very big dividing line that kind of runs, I would say, from about the Twin Cities northwest, and that it's prairie, and then it's like oak forest for like 10 miles, and then it's pine woods, you know, and aspen, you know. So it's very distinct change. So you have to kind of drive north of the Twin Cities, and then in the eastern part of the state, it's better if you drive further north. So the northern like third of Minnesota has grouse, but Wisconsin, basically from about the Twin Cities over north, has pretty good grouse numbers. And some of the spots, there's kind of like Park Falls area and, Tomahawk, Rylander, Eagle Lake, the kind of eastern part of the north woods of Wisconsin. Those areas really attract a lot of hunters, but the southern kind of range of it is often overlooked. And I spend a lot of time farting around in those areas. So we find properties that have a lot of grouse, and then we'll run through a bunch of properties that have none. Yeah, so they're kind of pockety. And it's weird because there'll be properties that have fantastic cover and there won't be any grouse. And then you'll be on your way to this fantastic looking cover on the backside of a property. You might have to walk through a 40 of old timber, and by golly, they're in the old timber. So they kind of surprise you a lot in that they're not, for me, they're not as predictable as I can, I drive an hour north of me and there's aspen, 10, 15-year-old aspen stands everywhere and all kinds of different edges you can hunt, kind of like quail. So it's a lot easier to pick those things up, I think, when you're up north a little bit. So it's harder to hunt some of that southern edge, and still kind of learning some of that area. But yeah, I mean, I can get to KC from the cities in 5.5 hours, like the north side of KC. So, right. You're talking about 7.5 hours. You're getting in a good grouse cover in either state. So
yeah, that's something that I didn't realize was that close and available to me. So yeah, of course I'm going to jump on the opportunity, and of course I'm going to pack it up there.
So, what do you run for like mapping systems? Do you have,
Onyx,
the popular Onyx app?
Yep. Onyx has been a lifesaver really for me. It's just showed me what all is out there.
Well, not only that,
plus it's easy to keep pins of where you've been.
There you go. I track a lot. I know it eats up a lot of battery, but I kind of track some of the walks and stuff like that. I collect data along the way, not just for bird hunting. It's nothing to be able, if you're a deer hunter like myself, I try to put in as little time as I can in the woods because I love chasing birds. So I want to go out and try to chase a big buck for 1 week out of the year usually, and kind of pack up my things. So if I out, looking for birds around me and I find really good whitetail sign, I might go back and hunt it. So I want to be able to log that data along the way, and Onyx makes it really easy. Plus, up here, we have a lot of different public land that if you pull up Google or even some of the state information, maps, things like that, there isn't a total, if you're an out-of-stater, there is, but you got to find it. And Wisconsin offers a GIS system that is really good, but the app is not good. Doesn't really work in places where I like to go. Because it requires cell signal, where Onyx, you get all that downloaded capabilities for map areas. So you pretty much can go wherever cell cover doesn't exist. And when you get into the backwoods up here, it's super helpful.
Right.
And one other really good trait about Onyx, this year they added the layer stuff for cornfields and crop layers.
Tells you what crops have been where and when it was planted.
You guys use that at all out in the Sandhills?
We did not. I mean, it's all rolling prairie. It's all the same as what we saw.
There's
it was all the.
Yeah, there's nothing. I didn't really know if they had any pockets inside there that are farmed,
no.
Or if it's all just Sandhills.
Nope, it's all Sandhills, rolling hills, rolling prairie.
It sounds beautiful. Like I said, it looked gorgeous going through there.
It's super pretty, but like, so off the highway, you see all these hills and they have all these pretty trees and stuff like that. And it's really cool. But you get out into the hills and there's not a single tree for miles. Like there's no brush. There's no, it amazed me. There's no life out there besides that grass.
It's kind of amazing things exist out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys run into any porcupines? I hear they're kind of loaded up there in the Sandhills.
We saw a couple porcupines driving in that night when we pulled in. We saw a couple, but actually out hunting, we never saw any. We saw a couple snakes. We saw 2 snakes. Neither of them were rattlers though, so it wasn't too big of a deal. But we didn't really run into any of those problems. No.
That's good. I think a lot of listeners, that's off-putting, especially if you're not used to it. I know snakes. I have a buddy of mine that just, nope, I'm not going out there during this time of year because there's snakes. Okay.
Right.
I won't call you.
Yeah. I've actually got an Arizona trip planned as well. And a guy was telling me, he's like, well, are you going to do snake avoidance training? Because there's 28 different species of rattlesnakes out there. And I was like, oh, no. I mean, my older dog, she's kind of got snakes figured out, knows not to mess with them, but it's just not something I'm probably going to get the time to do before I go. But yeah, it's something that people definitely worry about.
We'll see if I can throw together enough money and enough brownie points with the wife who's paying the bills right now. I definitely wanted to get to Arizona, and it's on my bucket list, and it looks like things have set up for a fairly decent season in some spots. So,
yeah, they got some good late season rain.
Yeah, well, so, yep.
That's kind of what I've been following, is just following the rains and trying to get it. Yeah.
So are you think you're going to come up here? If you do want to come up here and hunt grouse, word to everybody that, and it's unpredictable exactly when the leaves come down, but usually it's around that first week of October. And I will tell you that once they start coming down, it's good, period. You need a little bit of the cover to come down because if you come up here next weekend when it opens, I'm not exactly sure when this podcast is going to air. It's probably going to be in a week or so, maybe 2. So might be after the opening of grouse. But if you come up here in late September, even, it's hard to see them. Take you out and you can hear lots of birds flush. See lots of points, but you might not see many birds, at least from a grouse perspective. Woodcock, they fly a little bit differently. You'll get plenty of shot opportunities early in the season on the woodcock opener, kind of, which is, it's around like the 25th, something like that. So, of September. But ideally, I think you had mentioned, that first weekend in October, and in September, end of September, early October, that's starting to get into a lot of that heart of that real good grouse season.
Yeah, no, that's, if it works out, that second weekend of October, I'll book it up there, and I say we hit it.
I would love to have you, man. I think it would be a really good time, and being from the prairie, it's definitely going to be a different experience for you.
I can't imagine how I'm going to hunt that. Like going through thick woods, I'm going to think I'm deer hunting. I don't know how you guys, the grouse hunters, do it, but I'm excited to kind of figure it out and do it.
Well, the biggest advice I can give you, make sure you're always trying to move for a shot opportunity. And in the prairie, that can be pretty easy.
Right.
Dog goes on point, it's like, okay, ease on up there, right?
Right.
Well, in the woods, especially when all the leaves come down and it's crunchy, you don't have a ton of time sometimes. I mean, that it doesn't matter that the dog is frozen on point and the bird's 20 feet in front of that dog. The bird's just not going to tolerate the pressure because it's had pressure all season already. And now it's got no natural ability to kind of hide except for sitting still. So they're not really going to run much. They're going to run 10, 20 feet and fly as quick as they can if they hear you coming. So you got to kind of, you got to, and the big dynamic is a lot of times, I mean, you're in this thick aspen that you can't swing a gun in. So you have to move into just a small opening, and you got to, I mean, as soon as that dog goes on point, you got to be looking for that small opening up by that dog to get yourself in that shot opportunity. Because oftentimes the grouse are flushing behind and the dog is in front of you and the grouse is flushing. So if you can cut the distance to the dog, most of the time you're going to get an opportunity on the shot. Yeah, I've had it happen many times where, the dog's on point and the grouse will run, and then, you woe your dog. So dog's not going to make any progress on that bird, but it's ran, and then you walk up above it and it flushes. Most of the time though, yeah, that scenario is when that dog has pinned that bird up and then it's finally walked off a little bit further. And then you can make progress on that dog. But a lot of times you're shooting with the dog in front of you too. So it gets a little different for guys that are, used to walking up in front of that dog and kicking that covey up.
Right. Yeah, it'll definitely be different. It's something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait till you swing and poof.
Yeah.
Big aspen busts up in front of you and the grouse just sails away.
Yeah. No, I got my first sharp-tail this weekend too, and that was awesome. Like, there's nothing cooler than just getting a new species in a new place. Like, it's cool. It was a cool feeling this weekend, so I can only imagine what that's going to be like.
It's a good time. And then you got woodcock, which is a whole different animal, man. I mean, especially if you're going to bring up your young pup, man. If that woodcock flight comes down, probably going to, is your older dog going to be able to hunt shortly in the season here, or is she going to have to sit for a while?
I would hope so. I'm taking off the month of September for her. She's just resting. She's a house dog. She's a cuddle dog for now. I'm going to give her the rest, but probably about the end of September, we're going to go and see what's up at the vet and just kind of see how she feels. I'm going to start kind of taking her on little walks and start shorter with her. But I mean, she's a hunting dog.
If she can travel, we can put together a lot of shorter walks for her in the woods.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times there's spots where we may only be out of the truck for 10, 15 minutes because it would just, something's not right,
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a boots on the ground to kind of get in there and see. It might look good from the road, but you get back in there and say, not what we were looking for.
Right.
There's a little bit of that every now and again. So those are good opportunities. And then there's a lot of decent cover right by the road.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. This isn't my style of hunting, but, a lot of times grouse come out to gravel and,
right.
You can catch one on the road, or there's a period of time where if you're hunting within closer proximity of the road, your likelihood is to bump a few more birds. And when you do that, you're not putting a dog on a ton of stress walking a mile back into,
not getting the dog work. And
they don't go under the stress of, like I said, running a mile back in to get to what you want to hunt. Because there's a lot of that, a mile to 5 miles back in before we really run into decent cover. And you might run one across the road, but as you're walking in, the logging roads are kind of gated off. So sometimes they're decent roads, but there's just no access to them at that time. There's a lot of different covers. So there's a lot of different dynamics. Like I said, there's good opportunity for a dog that needs a little bit of training or needs shorter runs.
Right.
So, but dude, bring your puppy, man.
Yeah,
Because
the
I'll tell you
puppy-
right now, if we can run into a woodcock flight, I'll put all my dogs up, and you can leave your older dog out, and we'll take that younger pup all day long, and we'll make that dog in one day.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. No, the cool thing about woodcock is they hold so well,
Mhm.
and they give off good scent that, and they can be in good numbers. So you can run into the flight shows up. I've had days with the reason I think my younger dog is so good is first time I ever took her hunting, we hit a flight of woodcock and literally had like 25 bird contacts in one day.
Yeah.
And it's just 25 wild bird contacts in one day on woodcock at such a young age. It's the best training experience a dog can have.
Right.
They're never going to catch the bird, but they can get in as close as they want to it. And for a while, a young dog, that's really good.
Right.
You know, you don't want a dog creeping in at a later age. But again, as long as they're not catching the bird, there's really no problem with the dog creeping in as far as it can go. But with woodcock, you know, you're looking at kind of a 10 yardish at best point. I've had dogs point at woodcock supposedly 20 yards away, but I'm not certain that they picked up that scent. I'm certain what happened was that woodcock was there earlier in the morning and it had walked off a little further back, you know, but there was still good scent there. Or maybe there was another bird there earlier in the day, but regardless, like usually they're pretty close. So it gives you as a hunter too a really good shot opportunity to kind of build that whole cycle of what happens. Hey, here's your part, here's my part, here's the reward.
Right. What is the limits up there for woodcock and the grouse?
So you can keep 5 roughies a day, and I think you can have 10 in possession. And then woodcock, I think it was last year 3, and then 6 in possession.
Wow.
So they're pretty good numbers. You know, if you're a good wing shot in the heart of grouse season, you should be able to shoot your limit on a good day. Not every day, but on a good day where conditions are good. You run across enough birds. Like I said, if you're a good wing shot, I'm not that good.
Not that good either. I struggled this weekend a little bit myself.
Yeah, I was talking to a fairly predominant podcaster in the Upland community who shall go nameless at this moment because he's going to come on my show here shortly. But I guess he was taking a clay challenge this summer, and he was hoping he was going to see some improvement on his shot. And man, if ammo wasn't so damn hard to get, and I've got a 28 gauge that I shoot a lot, and that's the gun I would want to go shoot clays with. And it's just like, man, I can't really part with
the ammo
500 rounds worth of 500 clays worth of ammo right now because I can't really get it. And some of these guys have some connections that I think they can get a hell of a lot more ammo than I can. So until those connections develop, I can't do that yet. Or I got to switch calibers and guns, and I'm too stubborn. I like my 28 gauge.
I want a 28 gauge bad, but it's not in the budget yet.
I got very, very lucky, and I'm hoping that doesn't come back and bite me in the butt this season, because I've had a couple small issues last year with it. But I got this TriStar that was made in Spain, and a buddy of mine that he's a lefty, and I don't know how he acquired it. He got it from, I think, his uncle or something like that, and he just could never shoot this side by side. And so he offered to sell it to me, and I just fell in love with the damn thing, and it was very inexpensive, and it's been very good to me up until I had a small issue last year on a covey of quail where I swear to God, I threw the safety on fire and I pulled twice and I got nothing. And, I don't know. Then it turned into a confidence issue after that. So, but yeah, I can't recommend pattern more. I mean, I don't really typically hunt with any other gauge shotgun anymore. I hunt pheasants. I would take it Sharpie and hunt all day long, sage grouse, desert birds. I mean, if it can knock down a pheasant at 20 yards, like, it's got no problem doing anything smaller than that.
Right.
It's a great patterning gun.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I want to get into the shotgun world really and see what all's out there. So,
oh, don't do it, dude.
I have a lot of expensive taste and a lot of expensive hobbies already. So the gun thing is not something I want to get into it, but it's something that it's kind of lower on the priority list right now.
I'm right there with you.
My $400 Academy Sports gun shoots straight enough for me right now.
That's where I'm at right now. I mean, I should say I do have a kind of a legacy gun that my wife bought for herself that she's gracious enough that she lets me use once in a while. But it's a 20 gauge and it's substantially heavier than my 28 gauge. And I'll tell you, it makes a huge difference in swinging that gun in thick cover. But, yeah, it's a 20 gauge with a straight English stock side by side. Beautiful, gun. And, I know that if mine breaks down, at least I'll have another good side by side.
Yeah.
It's a backup, but
yeah,
it does it's fitted chokes, so they're not removable.
right.
And it's a grouse and woodcock gun, so it's a pretty wide pattern. It struggles out past 15 yards out in the pheasant field. It's not the great.
Right.
It's a decent quail gun, but it's not really a great pheasant gun. I've struggled with it shooting pheasants. I actually would prefer my 28 gauge.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't get into the gun world, man, because you can drop thousands of dollars very, very fast if you have expensive taste and you like side by sides and straight English stocks like I do. It's $20,000 is nothing in that world.
Yeah, well, that might not be my ballpark then.
It's not my ballpark either, but it's fun to look. But no, I mean, over-unders seem to offer people a lot more of a semi-budget offering. And what I mean by that is like not your, what the hell is this big clunky thing that they sell all over? It's an over-under by one of these cheap brands. But anyways, it's not a $500 shotgun.
Right.
They offer that kind of $1,500 to $2,500 really high quality legacy kind of over-under shotgun that you should be able to pass on to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I see CZ has some stuff out that looks to be okay, but
yeah,
that's
probably what I'm going to do is I like the CZ Sharp Tail.
The Sharp Tail's a really nice looking gun, man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been looking at.
If I was going to have to go out and buy another 28 gauge, that's probably what I would go put in my hands. Yeah, the stuff, and that's the problem because that's really the only company that's offering those kind of guns right now in that price range. It's one company,
right? So
it's a challenge. The next step is going to Beretta and really Beretta's really, I think, the only other one that's got kind of a $4,000 side by side. Couple of these other companies have some, but I can't really speak for any of it.
Right.
And then you're into, the old English kind of stuff. And those are Well, there's a couple other companies out there, but yeah, no. Upland Gun Company is another one if you were looking for a gun. I will say that I know Jerry Havel and the guys up at Pine Ridge Grouse Camp here in Minnesota. They started importing some Italian guns, and they can do a lot of customization and probably get pretty close to that CZ range. So you should probably check them out, actually. Quick plug for those guys. But no, no doubt they can do different grains of wood and whatnot. And it's a really high quality Italian made. And they do over unders and side by side, straight English stock. Really anything you want. It's custom done almost. You actually get fitted and stuff like that. So yeah, if you came up here, I mean, maybe drag you over to one of their gunsmiths and get fitted and see what it would cost.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I've been kind of tooling around with that idea too, if I get forced into a decision, but then I'm going to have to buy two of them because I can't buy a custom gun, and my wife won't let that happen without having one made as well.
That's your wife go out with you then?
She has a little bit. The only problem with bird hunting for her is she's like 4'11", and it's just some of the stuff that we get into and her short legs and trying to keep up with me and the dogs gets a little difficult for her. Right. She enjoys it, but she's also never really was around hunting and growing up at all until I exposed her to it. And she does the deer hunting thing a little bit with me in the year, and she enjoys that. She loves watching the dogs. She still hasn't really ever got super comfortable with a shotgun. She had an experience with a shotgun earlier on in her deer hunting career where I shot a very nice 130-inch buck that morning, and she shot a doe for the first deer she had shot, but we were in the ER by 9 o'clock in the morning because she had taken a scope to the nose.
Oh gosh.
And it was the first kind of time I put her out in a tree stand by herself, and too much clothing and everything else. And she killed the deer. She said she shot at a buck, but I don't know. She drilled that thing. So I really don't, I think maybe there was a buck there, but she didn't have it on the buck.
Yeah.
But yes, ever since that experience, she's been not super comfortable around shotguns. And she's the type of person that, like, if I took her to a club or something like that, she'd be less comfortable. So we bought some land, and we've done more of that recently, where she's out, shooting a couple of clays and
just getting to do it
by herself with me. And her biggest concern is, well, I'm not really comfortable with the shotgun. And she's killed a pheasant before. So she's done it enough, but it's that kind of factor. I don't know. You and I are different, and I don't want to say that all women are different, because I think there's men like this. I think it's just people are different. Not everybody wants to go seek and destroy. Not a lot of people want to seek out the challenge. Like I said kind of earlier, people get stuck in this box and they don't like change. You seem kind of like me, a person who kind of embraces change, because change and learning all those things is kind of what develops you or me as a person. I don't know if it's you feel that is the same case, but the more challenges that I can kind of throw at myself and put it together and have failures and then figure out the success in that, the more I can apply those to different situations. Just kind of a compilation of knowledge is kind of how I look at it. And a lot of people don't look at it that way.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you. You got to embrace life. Things change, and you always got to overcome whatever's thrown at you.
Yeah, man, the weather changes every day. And it's not necessarily where, it could be sunny out, and for you it's cloudy. So it's just kind of how you look at things, and you have to you have to kind of put your best foot forward and try and be willing to fail. And I think that failure scares a lot of people. Failure kind of drives change. And again, and embracing change, I think, allows you to build character that drives success.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a mentality. It's definitely a mentality. You gotta.
Just like a golfer may say, hey, it's only 20% skill, it's 80% mental.
Right.
Pretty much is for everything.
I'm a very frustrated golfer. I broke a club this summer. I haven't been back out.
My grandparents had a country club membership, and I had the opportunity to caddy as a young man. I played some pretty good golf when I was younger. Not great, but enough to play for junior college and stuff like that. Played on the high school team a little bit. Today I can't golf for shit. And,
right.
And that game, there is like a lot of things. I mean, you take 15 years off of bird hunting, you go back out. Well, I mean, those spots you had, they're going to be overgrown. There's not going to be birds there more than likely because things change. So you kind of still have to ride the bike per se, to keep that knowledge going. But there is some basic skill sets that are kind of relative in a number of different things.
Right.
So Arizona, Nebraska, Kansas, couple different bird species may be coming up to the Midwest to do roughies and woodcock. Yeah. Where are you going anywhere else?
Well, I thought about maybe Iowa, just because I have to drive to get into pheasants from Kansas City. I've got to drive 3.5, 4 hours. If I drive 3.5, 4 hours west, why can't I drive 3.5, 4 hours north and get into birds in Iowa? I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I do like, what kind of hunting do I like, and what kind of places. And I don't know. I kind of view it. I'm more of I'd say I'm a traveling wing shooter. Like
I like that aspect.
I like the aspect
just
of
seeing different places.
Yeah, going somewhere new, experiencing something you've never seen, or something you'd never see if you weren't following your dog through an overgrown field, or it's the aspect of seeing new places and just kind of embracing all that, taking all that in.
Well, man, I don't know that we need to go on much longer. We just need to kind of make sure we get around the campfire and share a beverage and bullshit a little longer, because we definitely share a lot of the same values.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and it sounds like we'll have a couple times this year.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely in Kansas, and if you can make the trip up here, man, I really think kind of be a little bit flexible, and if you can, and wait for that signal to hear about the woodcock flight and bring that young dog up, and let's make that pup.
I would love it. You let me know the best time, and I'll make the drive. I'm lucky enough to where the company I work for, we only work 4 days a week in the winter time, so I've got some pretty long weekends.
So here's a little tip for you. The woodcock that we see in northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, come down from Canada. And woodcock are a bird that's main diet is earthworms and worms, stuff like that. They have to dig. That's why they're the long beak. So they have to mud kind of and probe into that mud for food. So when when northern Canada starts freezing the ground, these woodcocks start moving south, and they migrate all the way south down to parts of Florida and Louisiana and Texas, and then they go through they're down by you for a week,
right?
And typically that coldest part of your season is kind of when they back out and they move further south. They go down south and then they come back up north for nesting season. So they're a really cool bird, because up here they allow us up until May 15th, I think it is. In Wisconsin, I can run my dog. So in the spring, when the woodcock return, it's kind of second season. So we go out and run on woodcock in the springtime. They hang in different areas, but regardless, so if you're looking to come up north and kind of hit that woodcock flight, man, I can't guarantee it because these birds, they can fly 10 miles a day, and they seem to be able to fly a lot further than that. And they travel at night, and they're not one of these birds that fly super high. They fly just above tree level. They're kind of a weird bird, man. I mean, the one thing that I love to do when I travel and is do a little bit of research on kind of my quarry more than, hey, it's a woodcock, I'm going to go out and chase it. What's the kind of the biology behind the bird? Because some of those things you actually learn about the habitat and where to find them, So I'm kind of a nut and a nerd that way. I like to dig into things and kind of go full steam. So anyways, back to kind of what the woodcock. So when some of these northern parts of Canada start freezing and then that frost line starts to move south is when those birds really start to show up by us in heavy numbers. We'll have birds there up by us at the start of the season, but those are kind of our local birds, and then those birds will leave, and then they'll just kind of keep piling in. So you can go into one area and run into 25 woodcock, like I told you earlier, in an 80-acre stand of crap, and you go back the next day, you won't find one bird in there. I mean, that's how it can be. And, there's spots where there usually is a bird or two, but more than likely it's not the same bird. It's a different bird that's moved in because they just kind of keep moving south. So you can actually there's a website, and I'll get it to you offline, but I think if you go out to the Ruffed Grouse Society, there's some links through the Ruffed Grouse Society website because they're also the American Woodcock Society. So the American Woodcock Society of RGS does track the flight of the woodcock, so you can report your sightings and things like that. So they'll have a flight map of kind of when the woodcock are coming down. So that's a really good site to watch leading into kind of the end of the month of September.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put in my research.
But as soon as it freezes, I've had it, woodcock weren't really here. They were, starting to kind of show up in decent numbers. And then all of a sudden we get a snowstorm, and we didn't get any big flight that year. There were birds showing up, but it got cold so quickly in October, like mid-October, that they just, they just moved on so fast that at least in the couple days that they were there, I couldn't hunt. So yeah, it can happen really fast. You were up here training in November. You wanted to get the hell out of here. So I think woodcock closes, maybe the first weekend in November, something like that. So it's the end of September to maybe the end of October is kind of what woodcock season is. So
yeah,
it can be warm and have woodcock all the way through, and we could have 3 weeks of the season, and then all of a sudden it's colder than shit and they're gone.
Right.
So you got to kind of pay attention to it, but I would say peak good woodcock is kind of that end of September, first week of October into then the rest of the season, depending on how the weather goes. Got to have that first frost up here to really kill off some of the good cover and to give you some more shot opportunities too.
Well, I'll be up there whenever you think would maybe be the best time for us to link up. And, I'll definitely keep an eye on that. Cause I think a Kansas woodcock would be cool. So I think I am going to try that 1 week they're down here. I had no idea they even came down.
And so that site will really help you out. And then if you can get some data on kind of how the flight is going up here when you're up here and get a flavor, it might help you time that out even a little bit more. Because you may say, one guy may say this week, one guy may say that week. And yeah, you probably catch a good flight in a window, and it might be a week, could be a day, could be 2 weeks. It's really dependent on weather. And they're they're definitely a strange critter when it comes to migration. They're not what most people think about, like a Canadian goose.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Anything else you got to plug here, before we kind of sign off for the night?
Well,
Instagram,
no.
Covey, at Cuttin' Coveys on Instagram.
Yep, at Cuttin' Coveys on Instagram. I'm just kind of trying to share my experiences through there, and it's going to be a crazy first season. So, I guess second season, but the first season I'm really going at it. So, I guess just stay tuned and see what happens, because I know I'm going to be on a wild adventure.
I definitely want to link along for a little bit of it. We definitely cross paths in your home state, and I want to show you about the grouse woods. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You said that earlier today, and I was just like, okay, like that's feasible. We can do that. And then ever since then, I'm just talking with you more tonight. I'm ready. I'm ready to get up there.
You like fishing?
I fished as a kid and stuff, but I'll throw a pole out in the water for sure. But am I an avid fisherman? No.
Well, depending on how the bird hunting is, if we do really well and we're done early, and which very rarely happens. Usually we're always struggling for at least one more. I'm the type of person that I just go all day long, and it's really not about birds in the vest.
Right. It's just, yeah, that's my thing too. Is like, I don't really care about a limit. Like I drove 9 hours to the Sandhills this weekend, and I shot one bird.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's not about that. It's everything that comes with it, just the experience. And like I said, the people I'm meeting. I've just in the last 3 months of kind of trying to take off with this a little bit, and just a lot of people I've met in the last 3-4 months that I've had Xeno is just amazing. So
yeah, there's a lot of really good people in the upland community. I will tell you that it's been a very warm welcome as I kind of started this podcast, and it's not my main focus on the podcast. I never really tried to make upland hunting solely the mission. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I just want to get people into outdoors in general. And, that's it's all about the adventure. And that's why I kind of, I go out to Kansas, and it's like, man, one of these years I'm going to buy a whitetail tag, and it's just, I'm collecting data, and so
got some good deer. We got some good deer.
Yeah. So for me, it's about the experience and the change, and trying to cram a bunch of different things in, because I just enjoy so much about the outdoors, and I want to share that with other people, and hope to kind of inspire other people. And yeah, like yourself, hopefully along the way I can share something with you, and you can learn something and take what you learn here and apply it down there or somewhere else, and you have success. And I mean, that's really how long-term I think we grow the community. And it's really nice to have open arms to kind of be able to try to fulfill that need that I want to kind of give back myself with the podcast in specific. So,
right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, we'll definitely have to get you back on and kind of hear how your season's going. And I think next time we'll do a face-to-face interview after we get done running the dogs all day.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well, it's been a blast chatting with you, Drew, and let's make some plans here once we stop the recording about Kansas and coming up here and hunting in Wisconsin.
Okay, sounds like a plan, man.
Thanks again.
Yep, it was a blast.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Amaazen Outdoors. I am just having a blast creating this content for you folks. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend, and leave a review. I would really, really appreciate it. I'm working on putting together a contest here for the hunting season. So as I get that thing kicked off, I canceled the 2020 Wingding. I just had too much going on this fall to fully throw a party and embrace the listener. So we're going to rebrand that for next year. We're going to do some kind of cast and blast. But for this season, I'm going to work with my sponsor and try to provide a listener with a pair of pants. More details to come. Should have that announced by the 20th of this month, September. Good luck, shoot straight, join your local conservation effort. The season here is here. It's upon us. Join that conservation group, give some money so that there's birds, a deer, wherever you're going to chase out there on that local piece of property that you love to hunt and love to spend time on. Again, good luck this season, everybody. Really looking forward to seeing some of the listener successes out there. So if you have a success in the woods, make sure you tag me in the photo if you're a listener. Thanks much. Enjoy the rest of your day.